The psychologist Roy Baumeister spent years studying real perpetrators of violence, working from interrogation transcripts and case files rather than hypotheticals. What he found, he called the myth of pure evil. The idea of a person who does harm knowing it's harm, purely to cause it, is something that almost only exists in stories. Real perpetrators narrate themselves as provoked, as defending something, as victims who finally pushed back. Baumeister even measured what he called the magnitude gap. Perpetrators consistently rate their own acts as smaller and more justified than their victims do. The two sides aren't lying. They're running different stories, and each one believes its own. Albert Bandura gave the mechanism a name: moral disengagement. People rarely shut their morality off to do harm. They reframe the harm until morality stops applying to it. A noble cause, a deserving target, a responsibility that sits with someone else. The conscience stays intact. It has only been aimed away from where the damage lands. So the interesting question about a villain was never whether they're evil. It's what story they're telling themselves and how good that story is. Because the most disturbing villains in fiction aren't the ones with no reason. They're the ones whose reason almost works. Take Thanos. In Infinity War, he wants something stranger than power. He's running a calculation. Finite resources, infinite growth, inevitable collapse, and a single solution he believes is mercy: having all life. This is recognizable. Philosophers call it utilitarian moral reasoning, the greatest good for the greatest number, even at terrible cost. The big moment comes on Vormir, when claiming the Soul Stone demands he sacrifice the one person he loves, and he weeps as he does it. A man performing evil he understands as evil does not grieve the price. The grief is the proof. There is no deception in it. In the only story he can see, he is the universe's hero. This is moral disengagement working at full strength. The cause is so large that the bodies stop registering as bodies. They become a number, and once harm becomes arithmetic, the part of the mind that would flinch never gets the signal. Magneto reaches the same place by the opposite road. Where Thanos has arithmetic, Magneto has memory. He survived a genocide as a child. He watched what happens when a hated minority trusts that the world will protect them. Everything he does afterward runs on a single conviction: never again for my people. Psychologists who study intergroup conflict would recognize it instantly. In-group loyalty fused with the certainty that the out-group will eventually come for you. From inside that conviction, striking first feels like protection, never cruelty. The thing that makes Magneto a villain and the thing that makes him sympathetic are not two different things. They're the same conviction, seen from two sides. But the clearest look at how this grows is Light Yagami. He finds a notebook that kills anyone whose name is written in it, and he starts with the easy cases: murderers, the irredeemable. At the beginning, he sounds almost reasonable. The world has too much evil. He can remove some. Psychologists call what happens next moral licensing. Each act you've coded as good buys permission for the next, slightly worse one. Criminals become anyone who opposes him. Opposition becomes anyone inconvenient. The whole way down, Light never experiences a single step as a fall, because each step is justified by the last. There is no single moment where he decides to become a monster. He upgrades, once, into a god who cleanses the world, and from there he simply stays consistent. By the end, he is doing things the boy at the start would have been horrified by, and he feels only that he was right. The horror of Light isn't that he lost his conscience, it's that he kept it and aimed it. Across all three, the same pattern holds. Morality is never missing in them. It has only been redirected. Each runs a story good enough that, from the inside, the cruelty reads as duty. Psychology can name the mechanism. What it can't reach is whether, in some final private moment, a villain sees past their own story and knows. Fiction almost never lets them. And maybe that's the part that's really about us. A villain who believes their own reasons is a person. A villain who knows they're evil and does it anyway is something else, and possibly something that doesn't exist outside of stories. We may keep writing them as self-justified, not because that's what evil is, but because the alternative is the one we can't sit with. So, do fictional villains know they're the villain? The honest answer is that almost none of them do. The harder question is whether anyone does. And the reason we keep asking it of made-up people might be that they're the safest place to look for the answer, the sinister alibi running quietly in all of us, filing everything under, "I had no choice." Hey, if you thought this video was cool, subscribe and share with a friend so you don't miss the next one. And if you love high-octane action stories, check out my latest novel through the link in the description or in the pinned comments.